Hi, good evening, everybody, and a big welcome to all of you in the game-changing webinar series for SBL for March 2024 attempt. This is Hassan Dosani here, and today is the first day of the webinar. I hope you guys are doing well and excited to join this webinar. What is our plan? So it is a 2 days webinar. It is today and tomorrow. So I will be covering a lot of important things during these 2 days. So I will start with an introduction, a brief introduction to SBL. We'll talk about the pre-scene format, and then I will cover all the examination formats like reports, briefing paper, slides, etc. We will talk about the 5 professional skills. Very importantly, we will talk about the exam techniques. Extremely important. And then there are several global prize winners. So um, we'll take feedback from them. What are their tips and tricks? We'll cover technical articles. We will do a proper question. We will do a drafting so that you understand how to link, how to draft your answers. In the end, I will give a list of important topics as well as the study plan for the last 3 weeks. All right, so a lot of things to cover. So let's get started. So my previous webinars, so I have a lot of previous webinars. If you want, you can watch them. But I suggest that especially for self-study students, you must watch these two particular webinars, December 2021 webinar and March 2022 webinar. Why? Because in these two webinar, I have solved full case studies. Okay, this is suggested for self-study students. Those of you who are already enrolled with me in March or planning to get enrolled for the revision batch for March, no need for you guys. But for self-study students, you must watch maximum previous webinars, but at least these two webinars, right? How to ask question. I want you to ask as many questions you can, but there are a couple of things you need to consider. First of all, you need to type your question in the chat box, and after every few slides, I will take a pause and go through the questions. But what is more important is your question should relate to the topic under discussion. So, whatever slides I am talking about, your question should relate to that slide because I will not be able to take any random question between the discussions. All right. Any general or other questions I will take towards the end of the webinar, right? So I will be ignoring those questions which are not relating to the slide under discussion, and then I will answer them towards the end. That's a quick introduction of myself. I am a fellow chartered accountant working in Dubai as CFO for last 12 years, teaching since 2 decades. And what is more important is my WhatsApp number. So please save my WhatsApp number. Okay. Other than that, I have a global WhatsApp group which is free of cost. There are a lot of students in the global WhatsApp group. If you are already part of it, well and good. If you are not part of it, this is the link to join the global WhatsApp group. Okay. If you can't join it, you can WhatsApp me and I can share you the link. Oh, okay. Do you want me to paste the link here? Okay. Let me Let me paste the link in the chat box here. No, I'm not able to paste it like this. Now, nope, wait, I'll find it from somewhere else. That's a good idea that I can paste the link here. Control C. Where's the chat? So yeah, I have pasted the SBL Global Group link on the chat box. Okay. A quick update about the SBL pass rate. If you see in December, the pass rate was 52%. In fact, it is the highest pass rate in all the SBL past papers. 52% is the new record, which is a good sign. Most of the strategic professional level papers, their pass rate is around 30s, but SBL has a very healthy pass rate. The trend is maintained. It's between 50 to 52. So very consistent pass rate, one of the highest in amongst all the SBA strategic professional papers. So you stand a very good chance to pass SBL if you have prepared properly. Okay. Now, SBL is very different paper from all your other ACCA papers. I'm sure most of you have gone through this particular slide, right? And you're aware of it. But I want to just talk about two things here. First one is less emphasis on models. So there are a lot of students who are under the impression that it is mandatory to use models. No, it's not mandatory. You just need to be aware of the few basic models like pastel, quarter five forces, SWOT, culture, but it is not necessarily or mandatory to use models. So do not unnecessarily try to use models. Just use I will share with you the list of 10 simple models, and that's enough. Okay. Secondly, another important thing is that more than 50% of your paper is common sense. What I mean by common sense, that the topic does not pertain to any particular chapter or any particular topic or any particular model. You just need to read the exhibit and give a common sense logical answer. Now, this is good news and this is bad news as well. So, it's good news in the sense that you don't really need to know all the chapters and the syllabus and the topic, right? Less theoretical preparation is good. It's not a problem. However, it's bad news that most of the students, they are theoretical students, so they tend to find it difficult to apply general knowledge, not general knowledge, but logical thinking to solve. You can only overcome this by doing a lot of practice. The more practice you will do, the better you will be able to answer common sense question. You just need to get a hang of it, right? So that is why it's extremely important that SBL is more, you should focus more on practice and less on theoretical preparation, right? Because 50% of the paper is common sense. Now, this technique is extremely effective. I have I have shared this technique in a lot of previous students, and you will be surprised. You will be surprised that all students who are scoring more than 75 marks, all students who are who are, who scored more than 75, 80, even 90, the global uh, prize winner students who scored 90 plus, all of them had applied this technique. So now I believe that if you want to score more than 75, 80 marks, this technique is really effective. So it's very simple that when you walk into the exam hall, don't think like you are a student. Think like you are the CFO of the organization. The moment you start thinking that you are a CFO, your confidence level, your way of thinking, your way of common sense will automatically upgrade. It's psychological. And don't think that you are writing a report for the examiner that will put you under pressure. Think that you are explaining your point to the board of directors. So you are a CFO and you are talking, you are explaining your point to the board of directors. If you have this mindset, you will definitely see an improvement in the quality of your answer. And that is why all students who applied this technique have scored more than 75, 80 marks. It's all a mind game. Can I give you one very interesting tip, which one of my students shared with me? So she was a student and she said, Sir, I followed this technique. In fact, she said that I also dressed like a CFO when I went to the exam center. And she said it really, really boosted my confidence. And she scored like late 70s. Yeah, so she said, normally I used to go in my smart casuals in the exam center, but for only for SBL, because I wanted to feel like a CFO, I dressed formally like a CFO so that I feel that confidence. And I think personally think that it works. So just a free tip for you guys that when you go for SBL paper, go in your best formal dress. It will help you feel different from the other students. It will help you boost your confidence and feel more like a CFO. Honestly, yeah, it works. I think it really works when you feel like a CFO. So better dress like a CFO when you go. Maybe a blazer or a formal pant and shirt, nice shoes. Yeah, try this out. It will work. Now, this is a very important slide that why students fail SBL, and this is directly from the various examiner reports. I have discussed this slide many times in reset orientation and previous webinars, but I'll just quickly go through it in case you want a revision. So, first of all, the examiner says the answers are not linked with exhibits. It's very critical that your answers should be linked with the exhibit. It should be based on the information provided to you in the exhibits. How do you do it? Always start your answer or paragraph or point with a statement of fact from the exhibit. I call this opening sentence. So when you read the exhibit and you find some useful information, copy that sentence to your answer sheet. You start with a statement of fact. What is a statement of fact or a problem statement? It is a statement directly picked up from the exhibit, and based on that, you can then elaborate on that point, talking about the impact, or explaining the point in more detail. So always try to start your point with a sentence picked up from the exhibit and then elaborate on it. Okay. Then the other point is that the examiner feels that students are not adding their own comments or explaining the point. Of course, students, when you copy some information from the exhibit, You need to then explain it or explain the impact of it on the business in your own words, 2, 3 lines. The third and fourth issue is time management. A lot of students are not able to complete the SBL papers. They are able to attempt 80 marks, 85 marks. They leave or they miss out 15 to 20 marks paper. Please remember, if you are not able to complete the entire paper, then it is very, very difficult to pass SBL. You must try and complete, if not 100%, but at least 90-95% of the paper. If you are not able to complete 90-95% of the paper, you will be in deep trouble. So time management is the number one reason why most students fail, because they haven't attempted the entire paper, right? And why this happens? Why do you think students are not able to complete the paper? Can you guess? Lack of practice, yes. Why do you think students are not able to complete the paper? Very good, Kosser. Right. Amazing, guys. Amazing. So there are a couple of reasons. Number one is um, students, they overspend time on one particular question. What did I say? Students, they tend to overspend the time on one particular question. And I call this type of question, it is called time trap question. So deliberately, sometimes, in every attempt, there is a time trap question to trap the students, to disturb their time management. It is a deliberate strategy of the examiner. So please, you need to avoid time falling in the time traps. Second reason is there is a bouncer question, which a bouncer question is a question which is too difficult or very less information is available. So when the question is too difficult and very less information is available, students panic and they try to, save that question by spending more time on it. And then uh, it's exhaustion as well. So please be bottom, long story short, you need to attempt at least 95% of the paper. You need to apply the time management skills properly, and this can only and only come through time-based practice. Okay. And then there is poor technical knowledge, insufficient number of points, students not doing practice on mock CBE platform, weak typing and formatting skills. So, all these points I've already discussed, so I'm not going into detail, but the two most important reasons why students fail SBL is they do not link their answers with the exhibit and they are not able to complete the entire paper. If you are able to cover these two, your chances of passing will extremely double. All right. Any questions so far on this slide? Because it's a very important slide. Any questions? I'm just looking at the questions, and most of these questions um, I will cover in the following slides after a few minutes. All right, I've gone through the questions and I will be covering all of these points uh, in the next few slides. All right. Okay. So just hold it. Yes, Rizan, you are correct. All right. So all the questions which have been posed, it is covered in the next few slides. So just be a little patient. Right. So this is for students who had appeared in December or earlier and they were not able to pass the exam. So this is just the indicative slide that those students who obtained less than 45 marks, it shows that you lack theoretical knowledge. All right. So you lacked theoretical knowledge and you lacked practice. Both areas were weak. But those of you who obtained between 45 to 49 marks, this shows that your theoretical area was good, but you lacked sufficient practice or drafting skills. Just to, this will help you diagnose and especially if you want to do more practice, more drafting, learn more about the exam techniques and strategies, you must join the revision batch which is starting from 10th of Feb. I will share more details later on towards the end of today. Now the pre-seen exam format which was applicable from September. So the exam pattern was changed in September. So March 2024 attempt will be the third attempt based on the new pre-seen format. So still some of you are not fully aware of the changes. So I just thought I will quickly explain what the pre-seen changes were. So first of all, you need to understand that there was no change in the syllabus. There was no change in the syllabus. Only the paper pattern has been changed. Okay. So since there is no change in the syllabus, all past exam papers are 100% applicable. In fact, on your CBE platform, ACCA has converted few of the past papers into the pre-seen format. Few of them are on the old format and few of them are on the new format. But since there is no change in the syllabus, you can do your practice, you can do your drafting, everything is equally applicable, right? Case study will be published 2 weeks before the exam. So in your case, your exam is on 5th of March. So the pre-seen material for March attempt will be published on 20th of Feb. So 2 weeks before the exam, the pre-seen material will be available. But obviously the pre-seen, what does pre-seen consist of? The pre-seen includes just the background information about the company, background information about the industry. On the exam day, you will get additional exhibits and questions. So when you will open the CB platform in the exam day, on that day, you will get 3 or 4 exhibits, which are new to us, and 3 questions. There'll be 3 tasks and 3 to 4 exhibits. Paper duration is now 3 hours and 15 minutes. It was earlier 4 hours, but now it is 3 hours and 15 minutes because the pre-seen is provided to you 2 weeks before. And so the reading time relating to pre-seen has been eliminated. Another interesting change is task will no longer be answered as a single word response tool. Each task will have a separate answer sheet. So previously, in the previous format, there were, let's say, 3 questions, but only one word tool. So all the 3 answers were on the same Word document. Okay. But Now, after the pre-scene, there are three questions and there will be three word processors, one for each question. All right. So you will need to answer on the respective word tool for that particular question. And pre-seen material will also be available on your CB platform on the exam day. So you don't need to memorize the pre-seen material. It will also be there on your exam day, but you have to be familiar with all the important information. Right. Any questions so far? Yes, we can try and guess. I don't like to use the word guess the topic, but I will cover it. Just hold on. There is a separate slide for this. Any more questions? So I'm just ignoring those questions which are already covered in future slides. Yes, Gayatri, correct. Simra, I will show you separately. I will show you the paper. Wait. Guys, please ask questions relating to the slide under discussion. All general questions, your own problems, I will take those questions towards the end. So, what are the pros and cons of September changes? So, I think it is my personal view that the exam changes which happened in September is actually very good for the students. Why? Because we will know which case study, which industry we will know in advance, right? And then we can try and predict possible questions beforehand. So once we know the entire case study, we will try to identify pestle, we will try and discuss Spotify, we can discuss SWOT, we can discuss this, so all possible topics which I can think of or we can think of, we will try and discuss those scenarios beforehand. So that's a very, very big advantage, right? Do you agree? You agree, right? So if we know the case study beforehand, we can prepare 15, 20 topics. And that I will be covering in my separate workshop on pre-scene. Somebody is asking, is it necessary to research about the industry? Very good question. Somebody just asked, is it necessary to do research, like more research about the industry? No, not at all. In fact, the examiner has clearly mentioned that there is no need to do research about the industry because it's all a fictitious case study. So, no need to do further research. Someone is asking, how did your predictions come true in December? Absolutely, yes. So whatever I discussed, let me remember. Yeah. So in December, in my pre-scene workshop, whatever we had discussed, 80-90% was on track, right? And us students might agree to it. All right. So now let's take a quick look at the CBE platform and the actual pre-scene paper, how it works. This applicable for those students um, uh, who have never seen the paper. So let me quickly go through the actual paper just to show you the format. All right. I'm just opening the CBE platform. All right, guys, are you able to see my screen? The exam thing? Khatija, dear, Khatija, please can you refrain from, making such comments? Okay, right. So when you log into your CB platform through your My ACCA portal, you just go to Strategic Business Leader, ACCA Official Resources, and let me show you Specimen exam. And let's open up a Specimen exam number 1. So assign it, and then you scroll down or somewhere it will be here on the left side. Where is SBL? Double A, FM, APM, APM. Right. So this is how your paper will look. So this is the specimen exam. So on the left hand side, you will see the exhibits. So in this particular paper, 4 exhibits have been given, right? Which are the 4 exhibits? Contract terms to supply bed mattress. Then there is something about staff survey. There is something about email from human resource director. And there is an email from finance director. So these are the 4 additional exhibits provided to you on your exam day. Then the pre-seen information is also there, which has been published 2 weeks before, but it is there so that you can easily refer to it. And then task number 1, it is worth 34 marks. And then there is a word or response option, word processor, spreadsheet, and slides. So for SBL exam, you will use word processor. You will not use any spreadsheet. Okay, there is no point in using an Excel spreadsheet in SBL paper because it's a theoretical paper. And if the question requires you to prepare slides, then you will use slides. Okay. So if you look carefully, there's only one task here. Where are the other 2 tasks? There are supposed to be 3 tasks. So this is task 1. And this word processor is supposed to be used for task 1. Where is the other question? So you navigate, you go scroll down and you go to next. When you click next, then task number 2 will come and it will have its own word processor. Then again, you will scroll down and click next. And then task number 3 will come along with its word processor. Is this clear? So there are 3 tasks. You will be able to move to each task by pressing next, and each task will have its own word processor. All right. Now, let's open up task 3. So when you click on task 3, a window will pop up. Okay. Or let me go back to task 1. If you click on task number 1, so there is task 1A and 1B1. Okay, 1B, let's say. 1B1 and 1B2. So each task, listen carefully, each task normally has 3 components. Each task has 3 components. The first component is the unbold portion. This is called the background of the task. The second component is the bold portion, which is the technical requirement, which is 16 marks. And the third task is professional skills requirement, which is 4 marks in this case. All right. So it's very important to read the background, then the technical requirement, then the professional skills requirement. So this 1A is worth 20 marks, 16 technical plus 4 professional. Total marks is 20. You can also open a word processor on the side. So you can, kind of open multiple windows, multiple screens, and you can easily copy paste. For example, if you want to copy paste this, you just Control C, come here and Control V. And then you can edit it or, whatever you want. So it's very easy if you can just quickly copy paste from your, if, for example, if I open the exhibit number 1, I can just copy paste this sentence and on my word tool and khalas. Okay. All right. Any questions on the exam CBE platform? Tambisa, I honestly don't know. All right. Sometimes in the exam, the copy pasting function does not work. It is a bug. It is a bug in the software. Sometimes it does not work. So you have to refresh your browser or, call the examiner to fix the problem. Yeah, so there are some copy pasting issues. Sometimes in the examiner, it's a system bug. Nothing much can be done. All you can do is refresh. So how do you refresh? You just press this circle. It will refresh the browser. Everything is saved. So even if you refresh the browser, nothing will delete because the CB software, it saves your drafting every 5-10 seconds, right? So if you refresh it, it should start working, hopefully. There's a one interesting question. Kasim is saying there is an edit button in the keyboard. If you press, it will work. Edit button on the keyboard. What do you mean, Kasim? Where is the edit button on the keyboard? I'm hearing this for the first time. Possible if you activate the edit option mentioned on the top of the exhibit. Top of the exhibit. Where is the edit option on the top of the exhibit? Can anybody see the edit option? Only Kasim, only you reply. Top left. On the exhibit, okay. This is the nothing here is on the exhibit. You mean on here? I don't see any edit option. Why don't I see it? In the real exam, it shows, not in the, oh, okay. Okay, so in the real exam, you can always call the examiner and tell them, it's not working. All right, let's move on. Any more questions? It is in the selection tool. On the top, there are two icons, one for selection of text and one to move the screen. Right. Okay, that's in the real. It's not there in the practice platform, but in the real exam, there is a selection. You can select, and then paste. Yes, got it. All right. Any more questions on the CBE platform? So all these are bugs. Simra, what's your question? I just Simra, what's your question? How do we save answers? Come on, Sivra. I just said that the CBE platform automatically saves everything. You don't have to save anything. All right. So let's move on back to the slide. So you see the CBE platform will require hands-on practice. It is a very specific software, right? So you have to do all your practice directly on the CBE platform so that you are hands-on, your speed, your confidence. Please do not solve in the normal Microsoft Word. Do all your practice directly on the CBE platform so that you become familiar, you become hands-on and fast. All right? Make sense? I will, Nireen and all you guys, I will answer these questions. Please wait, okay? These are all covered in next future slides. If I'm not answering your question, then just be patient because I know it will be covered in the next slides. I don't want to change topic right now. Understood? Okay. Now this one. Pre-seen material. So March 2024 pre-seen material will be published on 20th of Feb. So 20th of Feb, it will be published. You will receive an email notification from ACCA, and then you can go to the exam planner. This is the steps through which you can access your uh, pre-seen material, but nothing to worry about. It's a lot of students will then download it on PDF and it will be shared in all the groups. And then there is also a guidance video, but nothing to worry about. As soon as you get a notification that the pre-seen material is published, just log in to your exam planner and you can download the paper from there. Or a lot of students, they share the pre-seen at various groups. Now, this one is very important. Workshop on pre-seen material. So once the pre-seen material is published, I will conduct a 2-day workshop. Okay, a 2-day workshop. After 20th of Feb. It will be from 7 to 11 p.m. Pakistan time. I will announce the exact date tomorrow. So what the pre-seen work material workshop will include? It will include detailed discussion and understanding of the case study. Then I will give a summary pointers for quick revision. So the pre-seen material itself is 10 to 15 pages. What I do is I make a small summary of all the important pages, squeezing it down to 3-4 pages. Then we can discuss all possible questions and topics and models as much as we can. And then in the end, there will be a grand revision 3 days before the exam. So those of you who are already enrolled with me for March, if you are enrolled in my regular batch, or if you are enrolled in my reset batch for March, or you are planning to enroll in my revision batch for March, this is included in your package. But self-study students or those students who do not plan to enroll in any of my regular reset or revision batch, you can separately enroll specifically for this pre-seen workshops. And these are the charges with if you without grand revision, it's $30 and PKR 4500 for Pakistan-based students. And if you also want the grand revision, which is basically this one, then the price is $45, and this is the price for Pakistan. Honestly, based on students' feedback, they have benefited a lot from Preen Materials. So I repeat, already the students who are enrolled with me in my March batch, no need for you to enroll separately, it's included. But those of you who are self-study can also enroll directly. Okay. The grand revision will basically, I will go through five or six past papers, and we will verbally discuss the answers, the pointers of four, five, six past papers so that everything is refreshed in one go. The grand revision will not cover theoretical topics or theoretical explanations. It will only focus on five or six past papers and their answers. Okay. So a lot of I covered a lot of things about what is SBL, what are the main reasons why students fail SBL, what is the pre-seen concept, how does your CV platform work. Now, are you ready for SBL question solving? Yeah, no, you're not. Good. So before we start solving, you need to be aware of the various formats. So almost in all questions, the examiner asks you to prepare a particular format. So you must be very, very hands-on with the format. Okay. So the most common, the most frequently asked format is this one, either a report, either you are supposed to prepare a report or a briefing paper or a briefing note or a memo. So 50% or 60% of your questions are based on these four formats: report, briefing paper, briefing note, or memo. So what I've done is I have made a simplified format which will cover all these four. So if the question says prepare a report, so you will just give the heading report, then you will say to, you will say from, you will say mention the subject and the date. And then you will give a heading introduction, and then your actual body of the answer or subheadings will start. And then towards the end, you will give a closure, which is best regards, and mention your role. I will repeat to, from, subject, date, introduction, and closure. Six things required. So the two, how will you know whom to address? So from the requirement will clearly mention to you, prepare a report for the B board, or prepare a report for the CFO, or prepare a report for the CEO. So from there, you can pick the addressee. Under from, you have to mention your role. Okay. Where will you find your role? Your role will be mentioned, will be given to you on the exam day. Your role will be given to you on the exam day. So far, what I have seen is only one role is given, and the same role applies to all the tasks. Sometimes you can be a senior finance manager. So all the three tasks, you will have the same role. In the previous papers, sometimes the role changes with each task, but that is very rare. So far, what I've seen, majority of the time, you are given one role, and that role remains same for all the tasks. Is that clear? Is that clear on the role? That normally your role is given and that role is applicable across all the tasks. Aditya, you are saying how much marks will I lose if I write a wrong role? How can you write a wrong role? If the role is given, how the hell can you write a wrong role? Then, it might piss off the examiner just like it pisses off me. Now, on the role, there are two possible roles. One can be that you are an internal person, like an employee of the company, like a finance manager, um, whatever, business analyst. So you are an insider. When you are an insider, your tone of drafting will sound like an insider. You can use the word us, we, when you are referring to the company, ours, because you are an insider, right? Another possibility is that your role is of an outsider, like a consultant or a management consultant or an external consultant. So when your role is of an outsider, then your tone of drafting will change slightly. Then you will talk like a third person. You will say you, yours, rather than saying we, because now you are an outsider. You are talking to the company as a third person. Is this clear? Okay. There is some confusion on the role of NED. For example, if your role is NED, non-executive director, so a lot of students thinks that a non-executive director is an external person, but no, an NED is an internal person. Okay. Why? Because he is part of the board of directors, and the board is an internal body. So when your role is NED, just don't complicate things. Just think like you are an internal person. You can say we. All right. Regarding date, there are two possibilities. On the date, most of the time I have seen that a date will be provided to you. A date will be provided to you on your exam date. It will mention that it is March 20x4 or Feb 20x4. Any particular date will be given. If any month or date is given, then you just simply write that date. But in case if no date has been provided, then you just write the word today. Okay. Do not put actual date of the paper. Sure. Finding the actual date is not time consuming because it will be there on the very first introduction page where your role will be mentioned. There only the date will be given. Someone is asking, what if the name and designation is given? Like if we are supposed to write to the CFO and we know the name of the CFO, should we mention the name? Yes, that is more better. If the question is provided you with the name of the CFO, you can write the name, comma, CFO, name and designation. It will be more better. Okay. If your role is given, why do you need to think like a CFO? The only reason I'm saying that you think like a CFO is that your confidence and your way of thinking changes. Don't think like a student. You can think from the role as well, if it helps you. But sometimes the role could be business analyst or finance manager. So better if you just think like a CFO. That's more easier, right? No, please don't write the exam date. The date will be given to you. If it is not, please write today. Don't make me repeat things which I've already discussed 2 minutes back, right? Right. Then some students feel that if there's a report, Do we need to give a conclusion or a recommendation? I repeat, some students, they feel that if we are supposed to write a report, then are we supposed to give a conclusion or a recommendation? No. Conclusion and recommendation is not required unless specifically asked in the question. So if the question is saying write a report, just write a report, do not give any conclusion or recommendation. But if the question says, specifically says, write a report and give your conclusion or recommendation, then obviously you have to give. But if the question is silent, then you skip the recommendation. The second format is called section of a report. Sometimes the examiner does not want a full report. He will just say draft a section of a report. This is in fact the most simplest format. You just give the heading section of a report on the top. You just mention the subject, a brief introduction, and then, the closure. So things like to, from, date, they are excluded. Just the subject of this, the introduction, and the uh, closure. Okay. The third format is email. The question will say draft an email to the CFO. So again, very same format, to, from, subject, date, and then you will not mention the word introduction. Directly start by saying this email talks about, will discuss whatever is the requirement, and then the closure. Okay. You see, once you join the practice classes, we will be doing all these things on the live paper. So you will get a better hang of it. So that is why I really, really think that those students who are not enrolled with me, you must enroll in the revision drafting classes starting from 10th of Feb, so that all these formats you do hands-on practice. I will cover the prices, okay? Then sometimes the presentation slide is there. Presentation slide. The examiner will say, prepare a presentation slide. So in presentation slide, there are two components. There are two components. The first component is the slide itself. And the second component is the supporting notes or accompanying notes. Okay. If I go back to the CBE platform, if you remember, there's a separate section for slides. So if the question says, prepare presentation slide, then you will open up the slides, okay? And it will automatically give you the same format. You see the slide number 1, followed by slide number 1, speaker notes. So as I said, there are two components. The main slide, you can write your bullets here, right? And then on the speaker note, you will explain your point, the bullets which you have mentioned on the first slide. And then there is slide number 2, and then the speaker notes for slide number 2. Normally 2 slides are required. So is this clear? There are two components, the slide itself, this one, and then the speaker notes. What is the difference? In the slide, you will just use bullet notes. You see here, you will just give bullet points, and under the speaker notes, you will explain those bullet points. So if there are 3 bullet points, here I expect to see 3 paras. One para for each uh, bullet point, briefly explaining that point. Is that clear? Ideally, 2 or 3 bullets per slide is more than enough, but it depends on the marks. But generally, 2 or 3 bullets per slide. Um, I don't know. There is no mark split between slide and supporting notes. The marks will be for total slide. All right, then there is a letter format. So letter format is slightly different from the other. So it's a bit tricky. So on the top, you will write letter, then you will give the date, then you will write the addressee and the company name, then the subject, then you will say dear addressee, introductory sentence, and then the closure. Slightly different from the others. Date on top, the addressee, subject, dear, for example, the addressee is CFO. So CFO, ABC company, then you will give the subject, then you will say, dear CFO, this letter discusses the problems identified, blah, blah, blah. And then you will give your proper answer here and then the closure. Okay. Then sometimes you are supposed to prepare a press release or a website release. What is a press release? A press release is an announcement by the company which is published in the newspaper. And a website release is basically an announcement from the company and it is published on your website. Okay, so it's got a specific format. On the top, you will say press release or website release. You will mention the subject first, then the name of the chairman or CEO. Okay, you cannot mention your role because press release or website release, any public communication is normally done by the CEO or the chairman. Then you will give the name of the company and the date. Through this press release, we would like to share our views. This is your opening sentence and then your answer. And for question closure, you will say, for further information, please contact our public relation department. So this is a typical, simple format for a web release or a press release. Yes, I will share this PDF file with all of you so that you can, refer to this. This is also included. All the formats are also included in my top 25 important topics handout as well. Then sometimes you might be asked to prepare a business case. Okay. A business case basically pertains to a topic called project management. So, under project management, there are 2 formats, a business case and a project initiation document. So, what is a business case? It's very simple. When the question asks you to prepare a business case, you will first talk about the current situation or current problem in one paragraph. You will then evaluate various options. The options will be given to you in the exhibits, that what are the companies thinking of 2 options, option A, option B. So you will discuss both options, the pros and cons. And in the last, you will talk about which select option you think is better. Right? So just 3 broad headings for business case, current situation, what are the options, an evaluation of the options, and your recommendation or selected option. The second format under project management topic is called project initiation document. So a project initiation document is a specific document used under project management, and it has got certain information. So these are the things which are included or covered in a project initiation document. So a project initiation document should have the scope and objective. It should mention cost benefit analysis. It should include who's the project sponsor, who's the project manager, details about project team, who are other stakeholders involved in the project, what is the duration of the project, what are the key risks, what are the constraints, and how the project will be governed or monitored. In the past, there was one or two questions on project initiation document, but the good news was that you were not supposed to prepare a PID. You were not asked to prepare a PID. Obviously, because it will take a lot of time. But what was done in the previous paper was the PID was prepared by someone else, and the examiner had given you the PID prepared by someone else as an exhibit, and you were supposed to identify the mistakes or the gaps in the PID. Did you understand? So in the past, there are one or two questions on PID in your exams, but in both those questions, you were not asked to prepare the PID. You were asked to identify the mistakes or the gaps in the PID. So you were already given a PID and you just need to identify the mistakes. So please, can anybody tell me how can you identify the mistakes from a PID? How can you identify, if a PID is already given to you, how can you identify what's missing? Exactly. So if you know this checklist, if you know all these items, these are the contents of a PID. If you have, you will need to memorize this. And if you remember these items, then you can easily compare this with what the actual PID, and if anything is missing, you will flag it that this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Understood? Okay. Now, sometimes, there is a confusion between a business case and a project initiation document, because sometimes there is, some confusion. Although these are two different documents and their content is different, right? For example, a business case talks about three things, a project initiation talks about these things. But sometimes the examiner may use the word business case or project initiation documents interchangeably. For example, it all now depends on what kind of information is provided to you. For example, if a lot of information is provided to you relating to project initiation document, but the examiner says prepare a business case, then it means that he's interchangeably using the word business case and PID, and you can, use this format. So it all depends. You need to judge, you need to guess based on available information what exactly is required, because sometimes the examiner uses the word business case and PID interchangeably. Although these are two different things, but I've seen in the past that he has uses these two words interchangeably. So you need to judge from the information provided in the exhibit what exactly is required. All right. Yeah, I think I will give a break on 10 minutes. Definitely, I need a break more than you guys. Right. Just let me complete the format and we'll have a break. Okay. Then there is a question, basically, some in every paper. In every paper, the examiner is asking a question on identify the weakness and give recommendation. Right? Every case, there is a question which says identify the weakness and give recommendation. So these are two things. We have to identify the weakness and we have to give recommendation. So if you get such a question, I would prefer that you use a tabular format. On one side, you talk about the weaknesses, and opposite, you will talk about the recommendation. You can also do a paragraph form, like one paragraph on weakness, one paragraph on recommendation. But I personally prefer a tabular format because visually it is more structured. Weakness on left side, recommendation on right side. It's more professional, and there are less chances of mistakes. Similarly, sometimes the examiner asks you to identify the key risks and give recommendations. So risks and recommendation, again the same format. On one side, we will mention risk, and on the other side, we will mention the mitigation factors. All right. Is this clear? It all depends on the question. If the question says you to identify the weakness and give recommendation, just do that. For example, let me go back. See this slide? Remember this slide, why students fail SBL? So I've also used the tabular format. I said this is the error or mistake, and this is the recommendation or solution. So it's more structured, more presentable, right? So when the question says identify mistakes and gives recommendation, or the question says identify risk and give mitigation actions, always try to use a, a tabular format. Okay. Now, are you guys ready for question solving? Not yet. Because why? Because now we need to understand and master the 5 professional skills. Right? So, do you want a break now, or shall I give a break after I cover the professional skills? Professional skills will take 30 minutes, I guess. All right, done. So let's take a 15-minute break. And is 10 minutes okay? 10 minutes is okay? Okay, 10 minutes. So let's take a 10 minutes break. It is 8:53 here. So let's meet at 9:55 Pakistan time. It's 8:55. So it's 8:53. So 9:05, okay? 9:05 Pakistan time. 12 minutes break. 12 minutes break, okay? I will see you in 12 minutes sharp. Great, thank you. So regarding professional skills, do you know how much marks professional skills carry in your SBL paper? So professional skills is worth 20 marks out of 100. So what percentage professional skills represent? Very good. So 20% of your paper is professional skills. 1/5 of your paper is professional skills. That's a lot, right? 20 marks or 20% of your paper is just one item called professional skills. And we definitely know that there will be a question on this topic. So whenever any student asks me, sir, which topic is the most important, and I say professional skills. Why? Because I know A, it is guaranteed it will be there, and B, it is worth 20 marks. So now it's not possible to score 20 out of 20 in professional skills because it's a theoretical subject. We are under exam stress. There is a time constraint. So let's be realistic. So it's not possible to score 20 out of 20. But at least if we can score 15, 14 marks or 15 marks, that would be great. So supposing you score 15 marks, then you just require 35 more marks out of 80 to pass the paper. So the more marks you score under professional skills, then less marks you require from technical to pass or cross the 50 milestone, right? So please give extra emphasis on professional skills. Now, there are 5 professional skills in SBL: analysis skills, evaluation skills, communication skills, commercial acumen skills, and skepticism skills. And each question will specifically tell you which skill you need to demonstrate. So it's not like you have to demonstrate all of them simultaneously in all the questions. Each question will specifically guide you which skill you need to demonstrate. Okay, so we exactly know that in this particular question, we have to demonstrate analysis. In that particular question, we have to demonstrate evaluation. So it's very structured, very easy to get marks, as long as you know what is required to do under each skill. Agreed? Agreed? Okay, so let's talk about evaluation skills first. So there is lengthy, complicated definitions of these skills in your syllabus. Also, some other teachers, ACCA tutors, they complicate things, right? But my job is to simplify things for you. So I will just explain to you the basic tip and technique. So for evaluation skill simply means mention both pros and cons in your answer. What is pros? What is the meaning of pros? Pros means advantages or benefits or plus points or positive points, and cons means the disadvantages, the problems, the negative points. Pros and cons, positive and negative. So evaluation skills simply means that you should include both pros and cons in your drafted answer. Simple. Now supposing based on the marks, you are supposed to write, let's say, 10 points. Okay. You're supposed to write 10 points. So how many pros and how many cons? What do you think? If you're supposed to write 10 points, how many pros and how many cons you think you should mention? 3 and 2? I'm saying 10 points. If you're supposed to write 10 points, so how many points should be pros and how many points should be cons? Okay, so I'm getting very interesting answers. Someone is saying most students are saying equal, 5 each. Someone is saying we should focus more pros and less cons. But someone is saying balanced, 5 and 5. Good. Okay, now listen very carefully. Can you please stop writing? Listen carefully now. There is no such formula of having equal pros and cons or balanced pros and cons, or we should focus more on pros and less on cons, or vice. There is no such rule at all. It all depends on the availability of information. You remember that all your answers has to be from the exhibit, right? You cannot write general answers. All the answers needs to be from the exhibit. So it now depends on the exhibit, on the information available in the exhibit. I will just follow those. So if there are more pros in the exhibit, I will write more pros and less cons. If the exhibit talks more about negative points and less about positive, I will follow that. So it all depends on the availability of information. There is no fixed rule of 50-50 or 60-40. We'll go with the flow of the exhibit. If there are 9 pros and 1 con, that's also fine, as long as we include both. If there are 1 pro and 9 cons in the exhibit, that's also fine. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you need to include both pros and cons. The mix or the quantity doesn't matter. It all depends on the exhibit. Is that clear? Yes or no? Is that clear, guys? Someone is asking, do we give recommendation? For God's sake, no. I mentioned before, do not give recommendation or conclusion unless specifically asked. So why the hell do you want to complicate your life by asking the same questions again and again? Sumera, it doesn't happen like that generally, but if it happens, then you have to create or think of a pro or a con, okay? Yes, Muhammad Yunus, how more simpler can I get? Okay, so evaluation skills simply means you mention pros and cons. The mix doesn't matter, it depends on the availability from the thing. Shafak, absolutely yes. All your points should start from a statement of fact. The second is analysis skills. Analysis skills is also very simple. You basically need to identify or investigate reasons of variances or issues. Okay, let me explain that. Analysis skills means that you identify the reasons for variance or the reason or the root cause of an issue. The reason or the root cause is the keyword. Okay, reason or root cause. So something goes wrong in the company. Something goes wrong in the company. You have to explain why. The why is the reason, right? Why it went wrong. What is the reason? So let me ask you a question. Why students fail SBL? Can you give me 3 reasons? Why students fail SBL? Give me 3 reasons. Poor time management, lack of practice, not linking answers. So this is done. This is analysis skills. When you investigate or identify the reasons, this is analysis skills. Khalas. Let me ask you another question. The last year, the company's revenue or sales was 100 million. This year, the company's sales or revenue has fallen to 70 million. The company's revenue has fallen this year. Why? Give me three possible reasons. Why did the sales fall? Sirini was bad answer. Why did the sales fall? It could be due to economic downturn, it could be due to competitors, it could be due to fall in demand, it could be due to internal factors like poor quality, less motivation, bad strategy, bad marketing. It could be due to better substitute products. So many reasons, right? So if the question says identify the reason for the fall in revenue, and if you are able to give the reasons from the exhibit, that is analysis skills. So analysis skills is simply identifying the reasons or the root cause of any problem or any variance. Is that clear? Identify the reason or the issue or the root cause. Again, it's simple because it will be mentioned in the exhibit. All you need to do is identify the reason and explain it in your own words. So done, evaluation skill is done, analysis skills is done. The third one is communication skill. So communication skill is also simple. Use appropriate format. Keep in mind your role, general layout, and the tone of your answer. So nothing extra needs to be done in communication. Communication simply means if a format is required, you make a proper professional format like a report, like a presentation. Okay, so the format, you need to keep your role in mind. Are you an internal person? So your tone of drafting will be from an internal person's point of view. If you are an external consultant, your tone of drafting will be from a third person point of view. Okay, that's all. And just keep your language simple so that the addressee can understand your point. So again, communication skills does not mean anything separately needs to be done. You just explain your point properly so that the next person can understand. You need to keep your role in mind, focus on a nice format, a professional format. That's it. So nothing extra needs to be done. The fourth one is commercial acumen. Commercial acumen means that you demonstrate some business sense. Okay. A lot of students, they feel, or they either feel confused what this means, or they feel that they don't know what is commercial acumen. But in reality, it is very simple. All of you have commercial acumen. For example, do you think a good CFO needs to have business knowledge? Yes or no? Do you think a good CFO needs to have business knowledge? Like what? Other than accounting, what is he supposed to know? Right. He should have an understanding about revenues, market share, industry, production, marketing, IT, customer service. And like overall, he should know the some external things, some internal things, the impact on the business. So can I ask you one question just to prove that all of you have commercial acumen? Can I ask you one question just to prove that all of you have commercial acumen? Okay, let me think. All right. So last year, our customer satisfaction percentage was 95%. This year, our customer satisfaction has reduced to 50%. Is that good or bad? First, tell me. Bad. So last year, our customer satisfaction was 90%. This year, it's 50%. It's bad. So you understand business, right? What will be the impact of this on our business? Our revenue will fall, right? Of course, when the customer satisfaction has gone down, it will fall our revenues. It might affect our goodwill or reputation, right? It will reduce our market share, right? Of course. It might reduce our share prices, obviously, if the revenue falls and reputation falls. It might increase the number of complaints and, returns and all those things. Absolutely. So you understand business, right? This is commercial acumen. Now, can you tell me one or two possible reasons? Yogesh, please refrain. Can you tell me one or two possible reasons why customer satisfaction could fall? No, that's not, Kausar, that's not the reason. Maybe our quality of the product or our customer service or delivery time or packaging, right? Poor sales service, yeah. Inferior materials, absolute. Low motivating staff, yeah. Done. This is commercial acumen. This is, I just proved to you guys that you know commercial acumen. Because right now you are not talking like an accountant. You are thinking like a businessman. You're thinking like a CFO. That if there is a fall in customer satisfaction, that's bad for the company. It will affect my revenues, my reputation, my market share, and what can be the possible reasons. So we have not read this topic. We have not studied these chapters, but from common sense, you are able to identify the impact and the reasons. This is commercial acumen. All the information will be given in the exhibit. Just you pick it up, explain that. It's automatically commercial acumen. Just don't talk like accountants, like debit, credit. Think like the impact on the business. Understood? Understood, guys? Very simple. So please don't think that you don't know commercial acumen. You know commercial acumen, it's basics. So if you use words like customers, competition, market share, strength, weakness, risk, technology, marketing, human resource, all these things, when you use these in your answers, talking about the impact, the reasons, it's automatically you are demonstrating your business knowledge. Okay. So far we have discussed four skills. Evaluation skills is pretty simple. You just need to talk about both pros and cons. Analysis skills is very simple. You just need to talk about identify the reasons or the root cause. Communication skill, you just need to concentrate on the format and the tone of your answer. Commercial acumen, you talk about the impact on the business. Very simple. Nothing extra needs to be done. Correct? The fifth one is skepticism skill. This is a skill which I think is slightly not difficult, but tricky as compared to the other four. Skepticism. Do you know what is the meaning of skepticism? having a questioning mind. Skepticism means you don't trust anyone blindly. You should ask questions just to validate or reconfirm the fact. You must have learned this word from audit subject, right? Auditors should have a questioning mind or a skepticism mind. They should challenge, they should ask, they should verify, they should validate, they should look for evidence, questioning mind. Now, do you think a good CFO should also have a questioning mind? Absolutely, yes. I'm a CFO for last 15 years. If my staff comes and tell me some things, if they give me a report or they give me some explanation, should I believe them blindly or should I verify and I should verify, right? Whenever someone comes to me and tells me something, how can I verify? I can cross question. If I cross question and that guy is answering properly, then I have some comfort, right? For example, someone said, give me not like a policeman, Isaac. Don't believe work like a policeman or something like that. Or okay, maybe. Someone mentioned, can you give a real example? So let me give you a real example. Last month, my marketing director, our marketing director of my company, he came to me and he said, can you approve a marketing campaign of 1 million dirhams? Okay, let's forget dirhams, $1 million. Okay, so the marketing director came to me and he said, you are the CFO, can you approve a marketing expense or a campaign? I want to do some marketing. I need $1 million. What will you ask? Will you approve blindly or will you ask some questions? So, what will you ask? Ask me a simple question. Let's say I'm the marketing director and you are the CFO. What will you ask me? You will ask the breakdown first? Come on, you're an accountant. What is the first question you will ask? Why? Why do you need $1 million? What benefit or what do you expect if you spend so much? Why so much? Come on, again, you're an accountant. The first question I will ask is, why do you need $1 million? What you will do? What benefit will we get? Right? So he told me that if I spend $1 million, it will increase, it will get us incremental revenue of $5 million. Understood? This is the answer I got. When I asked him, why do you need $1 million? What will you do? So he told me that if you approve this $1 million and if we spend this in marketing, it will lead to additional revenue of $5 million. So what should I ask now? And I said, oh, okay, that's nice. I said that. I said, oh, wow, that's amazing. If we spend $1 million and we earn revenue of $5 million, that's awesome. You are great. Because we are all part of one team, right? We are all working for the same company. But then I said, can you help me understand how it will lead to $5 million? What is your assumptions? Ismail, stop using models for God's sake. So then I asked him more okay, that's great, but just let me understand how you will get $5 million. So then he started explaining, okay, this will lead to da da da, then this will happen, that will happen. I said, okay, how do you know this will happen? How are you so confident? What if we don't achieve that? Do you understand? I will challenge. And then I said, okay, do you have a marketing plan? How will you spend this 1 million? Do you have a proper plan? So all this is, trying to understand properly so that I'm convinced. This is skepticism. Now, how do you demonstrate this in your exam? So in your exam, in the exhibit, some stupid information or point will be given that marketing director is saying this. So the way you can demonstrate is you can either ask few questions. You need to ask a couple of questions in your draft, in your answer, put a question mark. So if you put one or two question marks somewhere in your answer, you will get skepticism. Or you can use words like, I disagree with you. Sometimes it's not about questioning. Sometimes they are talking bullshit. Sometimes they are talking some wrong things. So you can safely say that I'm sorry, but I disagree with you. And then you give your logic. So words like disagree or I don't think you're right, or I don't think it's appropriate, or you ask questions. So all these things will demonstrate that you have a skepticism mind. No, Aditya, it doesn't happen all the time. All right. So now let me give another example. In your exam, one of your past papers, there was a exhibit in which the marketing director was saying, so the IT director, listen, please stop writing. What the fuck, guys? Can you stop discussing Tucker 5? Kosser, can you stop this? And the other guy who started this Tucker's 5 question model, fuck you. 1,000 times I said avoid models, and you guys are now talking about models. Get lost. Kamran, stop it. This is why you guys fail SBL, because you now unnecessarily start using models. When you study more, you become a model student. And then you fail your paper because you become theoretical. Can you just focus on the discussion and practical points and discussions? Please change your mindset. In one of the exhibits, the IT director was saying or suggesting that we should now invest in e-marketing. Okay, the IT director was saying we should invest in e-marketing. What is e-marketing? Like Facebook, emails, all those things, right? But the marketing director said that no, there is no need for e-marketing because nobody uses this thing, Facebook or this thing. Do you agree? Right. So there you will say to the marketing director that no, I disagree with you. In today's day and time, a lot of people, especially the younger generation, how will you? So if you disagree, you will need to challenge, right? So what you will say that in today's times, most of the people, especially the younger generation, are on e-platform. And if we want to capture or attract the younger generation, we have to do e-marketing. Simple, right? So there are two ways of skepticism. Either you disagree or you ask questions. Is it clear? Adopt a questioning tone in your answer. Use words like disagree, it seems incorrect, it's not clear, or it should be further in, all these things. When you challenge someone or you question someone or you disagree. So when you are drafting, you need to adopt a little bit negative tone of drafting because you need to disagree or challenge, right? So you have to be very careful in skepticism that your tone should be challenging or questioning, or use words like disagree. Most of the time, students, they under exam stress, they forget to ask questions or they forget to use words like disagree. So you have to be a little bit extra careful when skepticism skill is required, that you have to make sure that there is one or two questions and there is one or two places you have challenged or disagreed something. Nirene is asking a very interesting question. Can we use skepticism alongside the analysis and evaluation? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So when the question says demonstrate skepticism, it doesn't mean that you can ignore all the others. If you want, you can also ask questions under analysis or evaluation, doesn't matter. Ruthvi, I'm not able to take verbal questions, so you can type your answer, type your question, and I will take it, okay? Any question on skepticism? Yes, Shafak, absolutely yes. There is one more thing I want to talk about skepticism. Two more things. So, first of all, just make sure you don't get disrespectful. Hmm? Don't get disrespectful. You're talking to your colleagues, right? So, if I'm a finance director and he's a marketing director, we are both working for the same company. We are both working for the benefit of the same company. So, we will not get disrespectful or like a policeman or like an auditor. We work together. So, with proper professional style, I will ask logical questions. And if I disagree, I will give proper logic of what I think or what is the reason I'm disagreeing. So, number one, do not get harsh or too blunt or rough or too disrespectful. Okay, it's your right to ask questions, but in a professional manner. Number 2 point, the second point I want to talk about is very important. Uh, Listen very carefully. So, for example, let's say the question is worth the question is worth 20 marks. Okay. So for 20 marks, we normally give 10 points. Understood? Now, in this question, the professional skills is skepticism. Okay. So So for in all the 10 points, do you need to demonstrate skepticism? Yes or no? What do you think? Right? So for example, I repeat the question. If it's a 20 marks question, which means we normally give 10 points, and the professional skills is skepticism, are we supposed to, all the 10 points should be negative or questioning or challenging? No, it's not possible that all the points can be negative. So only I think 1, 2, 3 points wherever the exhibit, it all depends on the exhibit, how much negative information is there. So out of 10 points, even if you can challenge 1 or 2 or maximum 3 points, others are positive or logical points, that's good enough. You don't need to show skepticism in each and every point. Sometimes the students, they try to be negative in each and every point. No, it depends on the exhibit. Where there is room for disagreement, where there is room for challenging, only in those points you will demonstrate. And all this will come through practice, guys. So that is why, again, I repeat, it's very important that those of you who have not enrolled in revision should try and enroll yourself. No, Rutvi, if you agree, then you don't need to challenge it. But if you can ask a couple of questions, you can say, what is the basis? Do you have more details? Can you share more assumptions? Just like that. If you don't have to disagree, you can ask questions instead, right? Furkan, I will. So as I said, there are two options. Either you can disagree or you can ask further questions to understand, right? So always you don't have to disagree. If you might agree, but you need more clarity. So you can ask questions. So that's also skepticism. All right, let's move on. Now, are you guys ready? So we've done all the formats. We've done the professional skills. Are you guys ready to solve a question? No, you are not. You are not ready. Why? Because there's a major thing which we have not discussed. Exam techniques, yeah? Very, very important. So let's quickly go through exam techniques. First and foremost is time management. 80% of the students, they fail SBL because they are not able to complete the paper. They attempt 80 marks only. That is why time management is the first thing you need to focus. So what is the total time allowed? It is 3 hours and 15 minutes paper. How do we allocate or break this? So I suggest that the first 15 minutes you spend on reading and planning, and the remaining 3 hours you spend on drafting. Okay, this is my suggestion. Although there is no compulsory reading time, you can start drafting immediately, but I prefer that you first go through the exhibits, because in the exam 3 or 4 exhibits will be there, the tasks will be there. So you need to read all those, right? So I suggest that first 10 or 15 minutes, you go through the material, you go through the tasks, and then you start planning and drafting your answer. All right. So what do you do in the first 15 minutes? I suggest that the first thing you should do is copy paste all tasks in the scratch pad. So the moment you open your paper, copy paste all tasks on your scratch pad. Now, why do I say that? Can you guess? Why do I suggest that you copy paste all the tasks on scratch pad? Because if you remember the paper I showed you, all the tasks are not appearing in one go, right? You have to go to next window for task number 2 and then next window for task number 3. So, when you bring all the tasks on one page, then I know all the tasks so that I don't forget, because I will forget. There are so many tasks. So can I show you how to do it? It will take like maximum 3 minutes. It will take 3 minutes. So when I open the paper, let's say, let me go back to this paper. Okay. Supposing this is my paper, I open the paper. Where is the scratch pad? Here is the scratch pad. So I open the scratch pad. Here I keep it on one side. Now I will open task number 1. I will just copy the technical requirement, Control C, Control V, and then Control C. Here, this one. Control C, Control V, and done with task number one. Then I will scroll to task number two. Next. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. And next. Oh my God, it's not going. And I will open task number two. I will copy this one, scratch pad, and then I will go to B. Done. And then I will go to task C. Control C, scratch pad. This is C, and then done. So I've copied all the tasks. It took me like around 2 minutes. Now what I've done is I've copy pasted all the tasks in one go. I can close the scratch pad. If I want to go to the task again, I can open the scratch pad. So 1A is prepare report for the board of directors, evaluates the opportunities and challenges which PSS must consider in relation to the proposed contract with Zealand Health. So I just identified the topic, proposed contract with Zealand Health. 1B is presentation slide, comply with EMAS. That's the topic. Outline the key areas in the environmental policy. Task number two is uh, benefits from analyzing data from customer and website. Threats of big data analytics. And then this one is impact of weakness, internal control activities, and recommend actions. Third one is issues raised in the staff survey, recommend actions. And B is email draft and how talent management program can support. So now I know the requirements that I need to talk about: proposed contract, EMAS, environmental policy, data analytics, internal control weaknesses, staff survey, talent management program. So once you've copy pasted and gone through the requirements, then these are the exhibits. So contract terms to supply bed mattresses. So now I'm not reading the exhibit, but I'll just take a quick look. So it's a one-page exhibit, background, proposed contract, payment terms. So which question is this contract pertaining to? Any idea? Contract terms. So I think this is question number one. I think the question number one is proposed contract. So here I will say exhibit one. I will mention the exhibit number. Second exhibit is staff survey. Was there a staff survey? I'm not reading the exhibit, but I know that it is a staff survey. Interesting. Which question is staff survey? This one. Okay, this is exhibit two. Email from human resource director. Third exhibit. What is it about? Staff training and development. Okay, so staff training is talent management program. This is exhibit three. Email from finance director. What is it about? Issues identified by audit and risk committee, some weaknesses, internal control weaknesses. Was there a question on weaknesses? Yeah, this one. This is exhibit 4. Done. So now what I've done is the first step was I copy pasted the requirements. I went through them. The second step was I looked at the various additional exhibits and judging from the name and high level content, I marked which exhibit pertains to which thing, right? Is this clear so far, guys? Is this clear so far? So normally in the new format, one exhibit pertains to one question. In the new format, one exhibit pertains to one question. That's the previously it was a separate story, but nowadays in the new pre-seen format, one exhibit pertains to one question, right? So now, if you see there is an exhibit on 1A, 1B, there is no direct exhibit. There is no direct exhibit on EMAS policy or something. Question number 2, there is no information on which exhibit. Question number 2B, there is a exhibit 4. Question number 3A, there is an exhibit and an exhibit. So normally, now you need to prioritize which question should you start first. Which question should we start first? So you need to prioritize that. It is not mandatory to start sequentially, right? So if we are smart, we should start with easy questions. So normally those questions which have a direct exhibit, I will start with those. Questions which have a direct one-to-one exhibit, should we start with those? Yeah. So I will start with 1A. I will skip 1B because there is no exhibit. I might need to think or I might need to look at my pre-scene. Then I would skip 1B as well because I can't find any exhibit here, but I can start with 1B, 2B. Then I will do 3A and 3B. And then I will come to those questions which does not have a direct exhibit. Understood how you prioritize? Our first preference should be always to start with those questions which have a direct exhibit so that we can easily link and draft and complete the answer. And then for those who doesn't have a direct exhibit, we will do it afterwards. Okay? Clear, guys? So all this planning is supposed to be done in the first 10 or maximum 15 minutes. I have not read the exhibit in details. You can't. If you start reading the exhibit in detail, you will not be able to finish in the first 15 minutes. So the first 15 minutes is just to understand the requirement, identify the exhibit which it pertains to, and prioritize your answers, which one you want to start with. Clear, guys? This is very important. Okay. Then what do we do? So this is in the first 15 minutes, we copy paste all the tasks, we read all the tasks and identify the topics. We take a quick look of, 30 seconds look at the exhibit. and note exhibit number on the scratch pad under respective task, and then decide the sequence of your answer. Easier question first. Once you are done with this, now then you can move to drafting. For drafting, we will follow 1.8 minutes per total marks. Okay. So for example, what is the marks for task 3? So task 3A is 12 marks. So how much time will you give to 3A? Oh, wait, this is not a good example. Let me open task number 1. So task number 1, task 1A is how much? 16 marks technical and 14 marks professional, 20 marks. So for 20 marks, how much minutes? 36 minutes. Yes. 20 multiplied by 1.8 is how much? I don't trust you guys. So 20 multiplied by 1.8, 36 minutes. Now, some people are saying 30, some people are saying 38. I honestly don't understand what the fuck are you doing? 20 multiplied by 1.8 is straight 36 minutes. So in this 36 minutes, you will open the exhibit. When you are drafting, you will read this exhibit. It will take 5-7 minutes. And then in the remaining 25 to 30 minutes, you have to draft your points. Okay? Is that clear? All right. What's next? This one is very important. Stop drafting and move to next question as soon as the drafting time is up. So we know that question number 1A, the allowed time is 36 minutes. Now you will need to keep track of your time. And as soon as 36 minutes are over, you need to leave that question and incomplete and move to your next question. So this one is easier said than done, but you have to follow it. Because if you don't leave this question and if you continue writing, you will start falling in the time trap. You will be hijacking the time for the next question. So as soon as the 36 minutes are up, just complete the paragraph, leave some space, and move to the part B. How can you keep track of your time? Do you know? How can you keep track of when the 36 minutes will happen? By typing the ending time. Very nice. So if I go to my word processor, if I'm starting with question number 1, okay, so question number 1, let's say this is 1A. So if I know I have 36 minutes, it is 8 past 5 right now. Sorry, it is 5 past 10, my mistake. So right now the time in Pakistan is 10:05. So how much is 36 minutes? 10:05, 10:05, you add 36 minutes. Zulfikar, can you stop being cheeky? 10:41. So I will write here 10:41. Ending time 10:41. and then I will start drafting, and my ending time will be in front of me, this one. And as soon as it's 10:41, I will just wrap up the last point I'm drafting, whichever paragraph you are, you just complete that paragraph. You move to the next question. And then again, you calculate the ending time of the next question. And then you write the ending time so that you don't lose sight. Is this technique clear? The second thing is about linking with the exhibit. This is again a very common reason why students fail, that they don't link with the exhibit. So read the relevant exhibit in detail and copy paste important information on your answer sheet. You can also browse through the pre-seen material and copy paste relevant information on your answer sheet. In particular, try to link the following. So you see, listen very carefully. So your primary source of information is your exhibit. Is that clear? Guys, can you please stop chatting? Otherwise, I'll throw you out of the class. Your primary source of information is the exhibits. 80% of your answer should come from exhibit. Your pre-seen material is your secondary source of information. So if you have a direct exhibit, then you will focus on that and focus less on pre-seen. But if there is no direct exhibit, then in that case, obviously you will use pre-seen. Is that clear? Is that clear that your primary source, 80-90% of your answer should be from the direct exhibit and not from the pre-seen. Pre-seen will only be there 5 or 10%, or if there is no direct exhibit. Now, from the pre-seen, you should particularly, you can link your answer with the organization's goals, objectives, and values, or any financial or statistics provided. So this is, I have seen from experience that you can easily link these points in your answer, that you can refer to the goals, objectives, and values in your answer, or any statistics which is provided. This will get you extra mark. But again, 80-90% of the answer will be from your direct exhibit, from the pre-seen. Try to use this portion only, the goals, objective, values, and statistics. All right, this will come from practice, and I will also cover this in my pre-seen workshop. And lastly, start your point or your paragraph with a statement of fact, copy paste it from the exhibit or the pre-seen, and then elaborate on it. So all my paid students, you already know this technique, right? We have done so many practice classes that now you know how to pick up the opening sentence and how to start your answer through a statement of fact. This is the only way you can link with the exhibit. Done. The third area is number of points. So how do you decide how many number of points you need to draft? It all depends on the marks. So you just, my rule of thumb is a well-drafted point is worth 2 marks. So my simple formula is I pick up total marks, divide by 2. So I just pick up total marks and I divide by 2 to calculate the number of points. That is a rule of thumb. So for example, if I go back to question number 1, So the question number 1A is 16 plus 4, 20 marks. How many points are required for 20 marks? 10 points or 10 paragraphs. Okay. I would expect 10 points or 10 paragraphs. Let's look at 1B. 1B is a slide. Okay, it doesn't matter. So on slides, the slide is worth 10 plus 4, 14 marks. So how many points are required for 14 marks? 7 points, right? But then there are two slides. The first slide is this, second slide. So there are two slides. So total marks is 14 and we require two slides. So how many slides, marks per slide? So let's divide per slide. So there are 14 marks and two slides. No stop writing. Listen to my question. Total marks is 14 and there are two slides. So how many marks per slide? How many marks per slides? Per slide is 7 marks, right? When there is 14 marks and we are supposed to give two slides. So on an average, one slide is 7 marks. How many points for 7 marks? 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So 3 or 4. That's it. So each slide will have 3 bullets, maximum 4. You understand? Good. Let's look at task number 2. Task number 2, 1A. 1A is worth 18 plus 4, 22. So how many points? 11 points. But hang on. Hang on. You're right, 11 points. But there is one catch here. If you read the requirement, it says assess the issues raised by survey and recommend actions which PSS should take to address each issue. So 2 marks for issue and 2 marks for recommendation. Understood? So then in this case, we should divide by 4 to calculate the number of issues we need to talk about. I repeat. So this question is identify the weakness and give recommendation. So we will assume that 2 marks for the weakness, 2 marks for its recommendation. So total 4 marks. So 18 divided by 4 is how much? 18 divided by 4 is 5.5. So let's say 5 to 6. Oh, not 18, my mistake. Sorry. 22 divided by 4 is 5.5. So we are supposed to identify 5 or 6 issues along with its recommendation. Is that clear? Because it's a different question. Here we have to give and should we use a tabular format? Do you remember in the format that I had mentioned that whenever you're supposed to identify weakness and give recommendation, we use a tabular format. So we will identify 5 or 6 issues and 5 and 6 recommendation. So total 10 to 12 points, right? Very good. What about 1B? 12 plus 4, 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8 points. Okay. So whenever we make a tabular format, we can divide by 4. Whenever it's a paragraph style, we'll divide by 2. Okay. Done. Let's look at task number 3. Discuss how PSS could benefit from A1 and A2, 12 marks only. But no, there is no professional marks for part A, professional marks is for part B. So 12 divided by 2 is 6 points. 6 points between A1 and A2 depend on the availability of information. 12 divided by 2 is 6. There is no professional marks in part A. Is that clear? The professional marks is in part B, 12 plus 4, because it clearly says professional skills are available in part B. So part B will be, part B is again evaluate in weakness and give recommendation. So tabular format, 12 plus 4, 16. 16 divided by 4, 4 weaknesses. Very good. Someone asked, is the prepare briefing notes for the finance director? Someone asked that this briefing note is for both part A and B. Yeah, I think so because of the indenting. This should include A and B. So this briefing note will include both this. The number of point is equal to number of paragraph? Absolutely yes. Elena, it depends on the information. How do we decide whether we need a tabular format? When you read the requirement, when it says give recommendation to address, recommendation is the keyword. When it says identify the weakness and give recommendation, that means there are two parts. We have to identify the weakness and give the recommendation. Then it's a tabular format. We divide by 4. All right, are we very clear on this? So all this is explained here. Another thing is format of your answer. So prepare skeleton of the answer before you start drafting. So my paid students already are aware what is a skeleton of the answer, and I will demonstrate it tomorrow when we will solve a question. Then when you start drafting, first I will prepare the format. If it is a briefing paper, I will make a briefing paper to from subject date. I will give some broad headings and then I will start drafting. Okay. The second thing is use information from scenario to start your paragraphs. Opening sentence. We already know that each point or each paragraph should start with a statement of fact picked up from the scenario. Third is adopt paragraph style of writing. So each point is one paragraph. What is the size of the paragraph? Maximum 3-4 lines. So I don't want you to write lengthy paragraph. Your paragraph should be short and to the point. 3-4 lines more than enough. Try to give subheadings for each point. This will help you get extra marks if you give subheadings for each point. So if you're writing a point, what is it about? Just give a subheading. Leave one line between each paragraph. So leave some space between each paragraph so that it looks nice and the examiner can clearly see that you have given distinct paragraphs. Use tabular format for weakness and recommendation type of questions. Nil or minimum use of models. Okay, we will be practicing all this in one question tomorrow and then in the revision classes. The last thing is bouncer question. Now, what is a bouncer question? A bouncer question is a question where there is no information, no exhibit, or you don't know what to do or how to solve that question because of lack of information. Okay? So for example, if I go back to this scenario and I open my scratch pad, I can see that question number 1B does not have any exhibit. It may be a bouncer question. And I can see that question number 2A does not have a exhibit. This may be a potential bouncer question. Rest all of them. Right? So what do we do? First of all, we attempt these questions in the last. We will skip them. We will first do those questions which have a direct exhibit. Okay? Once we are done with the direct exhibits, then we will attempt these questions towards the end. If there is no information, what do we do? Then we can try to pick up some information from the pre-seen material. You can use search and find option. So on your CB platform, there's a search option. So on the pre-seen material, you can try and search some keywords. You can just try to explain the topic, or we know if explain the problem. Just try to fill some space. Okay. For example, if I go to this question, there was scratch pad. So this question is question number 1A. Doesn't have an exhibit. So it says discuss how PSS could benefit from analyzing and using data from online customers and visitors website. So I know in general that what are the benefits of big data analytics. So I can talk about 2, 3 points trying to link with PSS pre-seen material. And this one says advise on the threats in relation to big data. So I know in general what are the disadvantages of big data. I can give 1 or 2 points and try to link with the PSS pre-seen material. I know the company, right? I know what the company does. I can try and, link with our business. That's all you can do. Okay? Understood? How to handle bouncer questions? In every attempt, there is a bouncer question. So be mentally prepared that you will get one or two parts will be a bouncer question because there will be no exhibit on it. So don't panic during the exam. Be mentally prepared. Now, this point is very important. So when there is no exhibit, okay, when there is no exhibit, should you try to use the entire time, allowed time in bouncer question, or should we try and reduce our time and spend that time in some other questions to write some extra points to cover up? Some smart students, especially the global prize winners and high scorers, They did not use the entire time of the bouncer question because they know there is no direct information available. So there's no point in using the entire 1.8 minutes per mark. So they just write some few basic points and then they moved and they strengthened their existing answers. They wrote one extra point in all the other answers where they were direct exhibits so that they can score some more marks there, which can cover up for the shortfall here because there was an exhibit there, right? Here there is no exhibit, so they applied just half the time here just to fill up some basic points. It's better not to leave empty, right? And then they utilize the time to strengthen their other questions. So all this is basically easier said than done. You might think that, yeah, this is possible, but in the exam, you will not do this because you are stressed out. But you will have to do all this to get pass, right? What happens in the exam? Students, they tend to give more time to bouncer question. Is that correct? In the real exam, students, they actually spend more time on the bouncer question. I know because they are so stressed out. They want to do it completely. So in the stress, they actually end up spending more time on the bouncer question instead of spending more time because they're trying to think, they're trying to write anything they can think and they overrun the time. So bouncer question is also a time trap question because if you are not in good control of your stress and emotions, it's human nature. You will spend more time in trying to save this question. Rather, you should have spent less time here and utilize that time to strengthen the other questions. That's the difference between a smart student and a normal student. A smart student is in good control of the emotions and stress, and he will try to score more marks, which is easy in other questions, and spend less time here. All right. So the next thing is tips from SBL global scorers, but I think today's time is up. So I will move this topic to tomorrow. So tips from SBL global scorers. So far, my three students are global prize winners. So Rahul Bikram was the global prize winner in March 2023 attempt. He scored 92 marks. Then there was another guy called Shikhai from Malaysia in June 23. He scored 92 marks. He was the second position. Globally, he was second. The first one was 94, but he was not my student. And in this last attempt, this is interesting. Oh, sorry, not December 23, December 2023, not December 2024. In the last attempt, one of my students, she scored 92 marks from Mauritius. Her name was Tulsi, and she was the third highest global scorer. So I will invite do you want to talk to Tulsi and understand what she has done? What was her technique? It would be better, na, if we understand from her how she studied, what was her study plan, what she focused, how she handled the paper, how she handled the bouncer questions. So I will invite her tomorrow for a live discussion with her. Is that okay? Right. So tomorrow we will start with a discussion with her and then we will continue with the rest of the webinar. So today we are done. So guys, Now, any questions relating to exam techniques or anything else which you think is not yet answered? Technical articles. Okay, Adina, I will cover technical articles tomorrow. All right. Simra is asking, tomorrow is 3 hours. Yes, tomorrow will also be 3 hours, or maybe slightly more, 3 hours and 3.5 hours. Technical articles I will cover tomorrow. Price of revision pack I will cover tomorrow, but I think it's 105 US dollars. Tomorrow I will solve one question from your latest paper, so you will get a practical idea of how to do it. Mock exams I will cover tomorrow. Should we start practice on ACCA portal? I will cover that tomorrow. Tomorrow I will give you a study plan for self-study students, okay? How to sign up with workshop and grand revision? I will cover that tomorrow. How many papers should we practice? It will be included in the study plan, which I will share tomorrow. Vasuki, yes. Are there marks for format? Yes, there are professional marks for format. What is the schedule of the revision classes? I will share that tomorrow. Yeah, same time tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. Pakistan time. Might overrun by 30 minutes. I will share the schedule tomorrow. Aditya, please stay away from the model. Even if you don't link with the models, but you give logical answers, you will get marks. What is included in the revision course? I will cover that tomorrow. Who get? I don't know when we will solve the question. It depends on question to question. Recommendation is not conclusion. Recommendation is basically what needs to be done to solve the problem. Elena, absolutely correct. When there is a direct exhibit, there is no need to get into the pre-scene. Only you just link with the goals or statistics. Yes, same timing tomorrow. Vasuki, this will be a bouncer question. So that's it. We will treat it as a bouncer question. I will share the PowerPoint tomorrow. Yes. So day one PowerPoint along with day two PowerPoint, all the material I will share tomorrow after the webinar in one go. Technical articles, for God's sake, I will cover tomorrow. So why do you need to ask again and again? Leave it with me. Okay? Just relax. I will cover all the things, remaining things. It's included in tomorrow's agenda. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope you found this useful, especially the exam techniques. It's very, very important. I will cover the remaining stuff tomorrow, including technical articles, including solving one question, including study plan, all those things, right? And we will also speak with the global prize winner tomorrow. That is why the class might overrun by 15-20 minutes because that is not part of the agenda, but I will ask her to log in. See you guys tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. sharp for another powerful day on SBL webinar day 2. Thank you so much for joining. Take care, good night, and stay safe.